Hello everyone and welcome to the Dialed In podcast as part of the How I Became YouTube channel. My name's Patrick, you probably haven't heard of me in a little while, and today I'm joined with...
George, hello. The new co-host. I'm going to be here alongside Pat in a lot of the content that's going to be made on the channel, and helping him with the channel, audio things, video things, content, everything like that. Yeah.
Lovely to have you on.
Thanks, mate.
So, where have I been? I think is probably the first question everybody will have in their minds if they even remember who I am.
Yeah, you disappeared off the map for a little bit, eh?
You could say that. It's been 3 years now.
Yeah. Has it? Yeah, it's been three
been over 3 years
since the last How I Became video.
Yeah, I think that was March 2014, and it's now July 2017. Nearly got the month wrong there.
I love how we both had to think about that. Yeah, go on. So let us know, what have you been up to 3 years? Where have you been? Why has the channel been a bit quiet? And what have you got planned now that the channel's back?
Okay, so where do I begin? I guess I begin back when I uploaded my last video, which was with Linus Tech Tips. The video itself didn't actually include me per se. I sent Linus the questions and he made a video clips for me and I edited it together. But what was happening back then? Well, we would have been in school. We're that young. Scary. We would have been in school, me and George. We went to the same secondary school and I would have started this project probably about 8 months before, and I was uploading videos ever since. But the last video I uploaded did really well from the start. It's now got like 800 and something thousand views, which is absolutely crazy over 3 years.
Yeah, it's pretty mad, isn't it?
Really cool.
That's mad.
And then it was that summer that I then went and was doing a lot of work kind of behind the scenes on YouTube, working with different companies and people to gain some experience. Everybody else went off to university and I then got a normal job in London. My parents were, I don't know what the right word is. They weren't pushing me, but they were like, you should probably get out of the house a bit.
100%.
Whilst all your friends are at university, you need to go do something. Even though I
100%.
was doing things at home, I guess it's a perception thing where sitting in your bedroom on the computer is the same as playing video games or
it seems
doing
like
work.
You're not doing much. Even if you were doing things in that time, I'm sure your parents would have thought that you weren't doing much anyway.
Yeah. So started looking for your traditional jobs in the media world. Obviously still wanting to kind of focus myself around YouTube. Did a bit of work experience and then got offered a job, which I've been doing for the last 3 years now, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. You've been able to get a job and just stay and push along with it and progress
luckily
quite a lot. Yeah,
I've been working in the automotive world on YouTube, so still working on YouTube luckily. Gained I think a lot of skills out of that, a lot of experience in the behind the scenes, in the commercial side particularly, but also in the production of content, which is hopefully why this sounds a lot better than my previous videos.
Yeah, I mean, we've been focusing quite a lot, haven't we, on making sure the audio for this podcast sounds good, because there's nothing worse when you listen to a podcast and there's massive echo and there's background noise.
I listen to podcasts on my way to work every single morning and on the way home again on the train, and I think audio quality is imperative because I don't want a bad listening experience whilst maybe spending an hour or so listening to someone blabber on about something hopefully informative or just entertainment wise. So it's been really interesting and it's been an interesting time. I still upload videos though. I think another question maybe some people would have is like, oh, do you still make videos then? If I make videos for other people, but the question being, do I still make videos if not been on the How I Became channel? And the answer to that for me is yes. But before we go any further with me, it'd be good to understand, George, when was the last time you uploaded a video and what have you been doing since we last, very partially worked on the How I Became project?
So I, like Pat said, we went to school together. And then I went to university. I was one of the people that left Pat behind, and I just went off.
Thanks, George.
It's all right, mate. I went off to Canterbury, University of Kent, did computer science degree, and whilst I was there, started getting into the music industry and making music and all that kind of stuff, and got pretty into it. And it's gone all right so far. So I'm still doing that at the moment.
What is the highest listened or viewed? I don't know what SoundCloud determines it as. Played song that you've created
on SoundCloud,
on any platform, but I assumed SoundCloud
I think
would
it's
be your largest.
164,000.
Okay, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, and I'm looking.
All right.
Yeah, it's it's one of those. It's like YouTube really, where you get one video that absolutely smashes it, and then sometimes that next follow-up video doesn't actually do as well, and that's a bit demotivating. But we'll get to talking all about that kind of stuff later. But no, I did computer science degree, got into doing music, and then from there I have finished university. I graduated last week or the week before.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, mate. So yeah, done that. And then I'm now studying a radio broadcasting diploma at Point Blank Music School in Hoxton in London, Shoreditch way. So this perfect opportunity, this How I Became podcast, for me to take all my music stuff and my radio stuff, and Pat to take all of his video stuff and his YouTube stuff, and literally combine the knowledge of two people and hopefully create some pretty good content.
Yeah, I think this dialed in podcast is going to be an extension of the interviews. We want to obviously continue to do the interviews and get as many of those as possible in all the different fields that are now existing on YouTube. I think the space is quite a bit wider.
Yeah, YouTube has changed a whole lot since we used to, I wouldn't say used to make videos, but since we were used to like try and actively make content all the time for our own personal channels. Yeah, it's
crazy. Yeah, so I guess when was the last time you uploaded a video then?
I did a couple of bits at uni, but that was just like me playing GTA and chatting to my mates and trying to put something funny together. But probably a couple of quite a while ago actually, when we used to do Call of Duty. Me and Patrick used to play a lot of Call of Duty together back in the day. Used to love that, and we used to just make commentaries and montages and the standard kind of like gaming.
Because we started, I guess, to go back all the way to the beginning, we started YouTube 2010, 2009 maybe.
Yeah.
And when we started watching YouTube would have been around when the Call of Duty games were coming out, and that was the game we played back then. Probably starting with Call of Duty World at War, maybe Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, I think I played Call of Duty 4, but I didn't really make content of it. And then World at War was when I got my Dazzle.
Yeah, and then everybody went back to COD 4 because it was a better game.
Yeah, well, the World at War was, you got like, I hear a lot of people rant about it. They say they used to love it, but at the time it wasn't that popular. But no, yeah, like you're saying, we used to play loads of Call of Duty, crazy amount after school. That was all we would do.
4 hours a night kind of job.
Yeah, and then YouTube started to become a bit more popular, and then we thought, right, let's make some videos, or let's try and have a go at doing YouTube. And
I think there was a rise of Call of Duty YouTubers, so people that would commentate over gameplay, or people that would give kind of hints and tips based in the game, and that's where definitely I first got into YouTube, was looking at those people, kind of seeing what they're doing to try and better myself when I was playing the games.
Yeah.
And obviously with us playing the games together, you start sharing videos, sharing tips, and then it's like, well, I could do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a laptop and I've got the console, and I'm relatively good at the game, so why don't I do this?
Why don't I have a crack? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think that's a process that quite a lot of people who played games, and I think that's why a lot of big YouTubers now used to be gamers. It's because playing games, like, if you're good at a game, you think, it's quite easy to be able to show that off to people. You don't need to have a camera. You don't need to be able to be good at filming.
Yeah, I think that point of not needing a camera, and also not needing to be on camera, I think at a younger age makes it very much more accessible. You still have to have equipment, and you still have to have the ability to talk, which is ironic as I mess up my words. But yeah, you have to still be able to kind of speak to camera and hold either a conversation or develop a story throughout a video, or at least just commentate on what you're doing. But there was none of that kind of embarrassing or difficult bit of having your face on camera, which how old would we have been? 13, 14, 15?
We were.
Year 9.
I think it was like 13 or 14 when we first started to make videos properly.
So we were way too young to be, becoming the next Jake Paul or Logan Paul or Casey Neistat. But we were able to record gameplay, which we could do in our spare time after school, and then commentate on those videos afterwards and try and follow our dream of becoming a Call of Duty commentator.
Yeah, the thing is because it was so easy to do the videos and stuff, like we could just we were making videos on things we were doing anyway, like, which is why it was so good. Like we would have been playing Call of Duty regardless of if we were recording it or not. So I think, and because it wasn't just me trying to think, I should make videos, it's actually me, you, another friend.
Yeah, there was a group of 4 or 5 of us, I think, in the end, that were people we met in the game and people that were real life friends via school, where we all had the same aspirations and the same goals in gaming, if it be competitive or the kind of commentary side of things. And there was a lot of people having huge success around that time into kind of up to 2012, where the revenue then started coming in, 2010 to 2012, where people started making big money. Yeah,
that's when YouTube revolution sort of, I use that word lightly, obviously, but it makes sense to call it that because YouTube changed drastically, I think, from 2012 onwards. People actually realised that it's not just a platform for people who are a bit nerdy or people who like to hear themselves on camera or whatever it is. Like, money could be made from good content.
It turned into a viable it turned from a hobby into like a viable job that would pay your way and enable you to do it 24/7. And that's what happened to a lot of these commentators, or really in every industry of YouTube. It turned from a hobby into something that was fun and you had an audience with, into a full-time job. But I think what would be great to get deeper into this topic another time is to hopefully interview and then bring on a YouTuber onto the podcast that started YouTube back in the day,
back in the Call
maybe
of Duty
has
days.
some relevance in that, and then can talk about kind of what they're doing now and how they changed it. Because that's what I really like about these interviews, is the ability to delve deeper into like how people started, why they started, and kind of where they're at today because of it. And we'll move on to some channels later, people like Steven Suptic, who started in gaming like you said, and now does something completely different in a completely different sphere. But I think what would be great to discuss now, to give people again some more context onto who we are and the kind of content we like to watch, is who have you been watching recently? Let's say the last week or so. What channels do you watch on the regular?
So I used to be a Rooster Teeth fan back when I was young, and I still watch a lot of their content nowadays, which is really, it's quite amazing really that you don't watch a TV series for 4 or 5 years. You sort of lose it after.
I think their content's grown up with their audience quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, they're one of the only channels that's sort of kept developing the ideas. Like some channels, they just keep making the same kind of content, and as the people get older, they're not interested anymore, so they lose the audience. But I watch. It's weird. I used to be such a massive gamer, and now I'm not a massive gamer, but I still like to watch gaming videos. Like Jack Frags, he makes really good videos. Soviet Womble, they're a mix between comedy and...
Yeah, you showed me that recently. That's a very cool channel concept.
Yeah, it's sick.
It's the kind of games that we now play, kind of personally behind the scenes in the evening. So it's Battlegrounds.
Yeah, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Games like that, where there's kind of a lot of dead time that's then filled up by us talking. So we're on what's it called? Discord.
Yeah.
The service, which is kind of like Skype but better in our opinion. And that. It's just like general chat. We catch up about what we did in our days, but Soviet Womble then takes that audio, takes that gameplay, and kind of makes these really funny skits out of it, right?
Yeah. He's really and he does this really clever sort of captions and timings where he nails the comedy of the group chat that's going on behind him, and the captions that follow the players around the screen. I mean, I recommend it, giving it a watch if you've not watched it before. Soviet Womble, really,
they're very
really
watchable
good.
Videos, aren't they?
Really watchable. Yeah, you don't have to play the game to watch the video. Like a lot of gaming content, if you don't play the game, you miss out on a lot of in jokes and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas his videos are very inclusive to everyone who like does or doesn't play the game. But yeah, no, Soviet Womble, Jack Frags, Casey Neistat. I've sort of slowed up on watching Casey Neistat.
I think Casey Neistat's kind of slowed up on producing videos as well.
Yeah, and I really, really love his style. Obviously, it's so unique, and he's like, I think he'll be probably remembered for quite a while in like the creative space because what he did was so different.
Yeah. And the crazy thing with Casey Neistat is he's been doing it for 15 years anyway.
So long, yeah.
He can draw up footage from 2008 that was of a trip he did to, I think one of his recent ones was to Kilimanjaro, and how him and a bunch of friends went and did that. And he was daily vlogging that trip back then to no audience. He was just doing it because he enjoyed it.
He keeps all the footage as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, everything.
He stores everything. He saves everything, which must be crazy to do. Like,
I mean, imagine having that asset as a creator. It's just unimaginable.
Yeah, so I can just about back up my MacBook like once a month. Like, even then, that's a stretch. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh God, I've got to back up my MacBook, bloody hell.
Well, the big thing to me is the fact that he's recording everything, and going back to Rooster Teeth, Gavin from Rooster Teeth and the Slow Mo guys, he's also very good at this. He records literally everything, and then he's able to kind of draw back on that for memories. But me and you can sit here and talk about a story that happened maybe in gaming or happened in real life when we went paintballing or something, but we don't have any content on that.
Yeah,
I can't be like, oh, do you remember that happened? And then you show me a video of it.
Yeah.
And I think Casey Neistat, people like Gavin, have that archive. And maybe in the time of filming it, maybe it's a bit awkward or out of place, but you look back at it 10 years later, like, this is amazing. Like, I believe he went to the inauguration of Barack Obama the first time round in 2008, and he has footage of all of that, of sitting, standing at the front, and he's able to now relive these stories to a massive audience.
I feel like when he's doing stuff like that, he's thinking so far forward ahead, so dedicated, and not a lot of people can do that. Like, you have to have such vision to be able to do something like that. Like, record an event and keep all the footage because you know one day you might be able to use it. Like I delete most of the pictures on my phone when I get a new phone anyway. Like, you know, when you get your upgrade or whatever, I just think, fuck it, just delete it. Or, do you know what I mean? So
you just back up onto a computer. It's not on your phone anymore. You don't need to reference any of it back normally.
Yeah. But then obviously, like in 10, 15 years time, I might be thinking, oh, I wish I'd saved that video of me in a club. Do you know what I mean? Or just something stupid.
Yeah,
like
some
that.
story or picture that has a relationship attached to it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I think people like Casey Neistat, I watched him from the start, from when he used to make his kind of shorter films.
Yeah.
And now he does these daily vlogs.
We were saying the other day, I think the first one that I watched was the New York Bike Paths one. Was that the first one you watched as well, or which one before that?
Yeah, I can't remember the order of the videos. I'd have to check his channel, but it was something like that, or the what's it called, Make It Count, with the Nike running band thing on his arm.
I don't know if I've seen it. Well, I probably have, but I don't remember.
Yeah, they've all got 20, but you've probably seen all of them at some point. But yeah, Casey's great, and I think, again, not to kind of push for future podcasts and future interviews, but it would be great to interview someone like, maybe not Casey Neistat, he's a bit big.
He's like
he's got a few things going on.
Yeah. No, but I know what you mean.
But interviewing someone like him who has filmed everything,
yeah.
And getting their insight as to why they did that at first. Obviously, YouTube didn't even exist before 2005 in any kind of capacity.
Do you think when he saved that footage, he thought, right, one day there's going to be a video sharing website where I can put them all together, or he just thought, I think day there'll be an opportunity?
Well, he had a HBO TV show based on his vlogging style of content that was then sold to HBO. I think he said for like $2 million. So I think his perspective was probably more in the storytelling, making either commercial or TV content than it ever was this digital realm.
Yeah.
In the same way that Rooster Teeth never started on YouTube, and it just became a platform. They just had their own website and they were self-sharing their content, and then YouTube became a viable platform to place their content on. And now, I don't know the numbers, but I imagine it's the majority of their viewership, maybe not revenue, but their viewership comes through YouTube because it's such a huge and overbearing platform.
Oh yeah, definitely. But they've got like Rooster Teeth First and everything, which is a whole other ball game, isn't it?
Again, not to keep saying we're going to make another podcast, but there's definitely a podcast in this series where we're going to discuss kind of the business behind YouTube and how people have kind of gone beyond just a single platform, network, or audience. People like Rooster Teeth have built a business around a subscription model, around their own website, and that's one of the things Bernie Burns, one of the founders of Rooster Teeth, always says is have your own place on the internet. Don't rely on other platforms, because look at Vine, it disappears. These platforms can disappear. Not all of them make big money. YouTube last year posted a loss, so it's very possible that these things can.
It's like
can
SoundCloud
move
as well,
on.
isn't it? Like SoundCloud nearly went down nearly went down.
It was a few months ago now, right?
No, there was one like a week and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then Chance the Rapper got in contact with the guy that owns SoundCloud and apparently saved it.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, I don't know the full details. Like that's just what was going around. But yeah, it
is a sketchy world.
Yeah, you can't, as they say, a very common phrase. You shouldn't put all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Definitely not, because you never know what's going to happen. There could be a hole in the basket, and all your eggs.
And this is why you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes as well, or any available podcasting app on an Android device.
That was buttery smooth.
That was perfect. What a transition. Talking about transitions, the final person that I have been watching more and more recently is a guy called Steven Suptic, or I guess a channel called Steven Suptic, which is going to become, I assume, their new brand called Sugar Pine 7, which is a collective of cool guys making weird videos. I don't know, how would you explain it?
It's like is it alternate
alternative reality
vlogs? Something like that.
I don't know how you explain it.
Alternate lifestyle.
There you go.
Something like that. Yeah, that's one of the terms they used in a podcast they were on or something. And it's like it's hard to explain, isn't it? It's like comedic videos that are
so they make daily vlogs in a style with voiceovers and freeze frames, and within those freeze frames and voiceovers and the kind of, I guess, motion content, which obviously the video clips, throughout their day, there is a kind of this weird comedic based I don't know how to explain. It's so different, it's so difficult to explain, because their content is unique. Nobody else has made that kind of content before. I'm struggling for the words to explain. I think we'll have to link in the description for one of these videos. Watch it first. Yeah. Come back, and hopefully what we're saying kind of makes sense, that we don't understand how to explain it. Yeah, because it's so different.
I remember when I first watched it, I watched the first ever episode of what they
I didn't understand it at first.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought
I didn't find it funny because I didn't understand that they were being funny or comedic in their content.
Yeah, I was just like, what is this nonsense? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And then once you've watched a couple of episodes, you get the humor, you get the style of jokes. You get all of it. Do you know what I mean? So definitely recommend it. No, they're a good find. I'm glad.
I mean, and like I said,
did you introduce me to them?
I feel like maybe I did. I feel like it's one of those channels that I definitely discovered it recently.
Yeah.
It was after SourceFed kind of broke down as a company and a YouTube channel, and they were disbanded, and Steven Suptic, I think, was one of the hosts on that. I didn't watch much SourceFed stuff, so
Neither did I. No.
I didn't really know much about Steven Suptic before now. And he just kept coming up in kind of like my trending pages, my homepage, and also in the kind of suggested videos, recommended videos. So I gave one a watch, and like we said, I didn't really understand it at first. I was like, this is a daily vlog where these guys just all are really crazy. I don't really understand how it works.
But it's really funny, really good watch.
Turns out it's actually one of the best new discoveries I found.
Yeah, definitely.
What other new YouTube channels, series have you recently discovered then, beyond someone like Steven Suptic?
You know Captain Sparkles? You remember
I do. Pros don't talk shit.
Yeah,
I remember him from the old
Call of Duty days.
Look, I think
Full circle, mate.
Do we think Zoella started with Call of Duty commentaries as well?
Yeah, I think so.
PewDiePie did. Biggest YouTuber on YouTube started with Call of Duty
So we
commentaries.
had Captain Sparkles started with Call of Duty. PewDiePie started with Call of Duty.
Steven
Suptic started with Call of Duty. Who else? Rooster Teeth? Nah, not Rooster Teeth.
No.
They started with Halo though.
They did, yeah. They started in video games. That was Machinimas.
Who else? Was another massive YouTuber? So it's the people that have been doing it for a while, because people...
If anybody knows Life of Tom or Syndicate.
Tom Syndicate,
he started on Call of Duty Zombies. He's got 10 million plus subscribers.
Well,
KSI.
Call of Duty. Yeah, the Zerka and all the Sidemen.
FaZe Banks.
I think most of FaZe, right?
Yeah, but FaZe Banks now the lifestyle channel.
Oh, is it? I don't watch any FaZe guys.
He's dating Alyssa Banks. Alyssa Violet. They're not married
yet.
Yeah. They better not get married.
They're not going to pull a Logan Paul.
I'm hoping to get 1 million subscribers and then marry her instead. We'll keep that one open.
Nice.
Jordan. Get back to Jordan.
No. I was going to say we'll try and get her on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll do it. I'll get an interview with her. Yeah.
Perfect opportunity. Captain Sparkles. He's obviously Minecraft was his main channel, and he's branched out, and it's not a super...
He made a lot of money from his Minecraft channel, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's not... I don't think what he's done is super recent, but I've only just seen it. It was where he's made a separate channel with his real name, based around him being his real self, and he just gets people in his car and drives around. And
it's like a semi-podcast interview,
but chilled,
like with friends. He's not looking, I don't think, to talk to people he's never met before. It's more chatting to his friends within the industry. In one of his cars, he has a McLaren 675 LT, which he's done the recent ones in, which, if anybody knows, is a $500,000, 300 and something thousand pound car, which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, and that's literally from YouTube.
Yeah, he lives in the Hollywood Hills, and here in his garage he has a McLaren. So he makes this really cool series, and he had Steven Suptic on actually. Yeah, they get on well. Steven's also into cars, which again you'd never tell from his vlogging content.
No.
But in person he loves his cars and is kind of clearly very intelligent in that space. So the next one on my list of new discoveries is Doug DeMuro. Now Doug DeMuro makes car videos, so I'm in this car world, and I watch a lot of the guys. I watch Shimmy 150, Supercars of London, Seen Through Glass, everybody in the UK, Seb Delaney, Archie Hamilton, loads of them. And then in America, there's quite a few channels as well. You've got obviously Jay Leno's Garage, which has been going on forever.
I've not seen any Jay Leno. I didn't even realise
very good.
I didn't realise he got into YouTube.
He has a TV show which is the exact same format as his YouTube channel. But his YouTube channel's been going around forever. Kind of 2012. I saw a video of the earliest Tesla from 2012 on his channel, and that was really interesting. But anyway, Doug DeMuro, going back to the point, he is a relatively new YouTuber who's kind of blown up recently, and he makes these really quirky and interesting videos about cars. They're about 10 to 20 minutes long depending on the car, and he goes around kind of literally the quirks and like weird things of cars, the stuff you would never know and nobody would ever tell you, but actually make it really interesting about weird switches in the car. And as a car guy, you're kind of like, oh, that's really interesting, because you see these expensive cars, and yes, you know how fast they go and how quickly they get to that speed and stuff like that, but all of those little quirks make his content...
They get left behind, don't they? Yeah, so he's picking up on the things that people normally don't think.
Because all these cars are kind of like handmade and designed by, eccentric people. Yeah. So it's always good to see kind of what they imparted in the cars.
Yeah.
So his channel has been blowing up recently with kind of 60,000 subscribers a month he's gaining.
That's mad. That's mad.
Yeah, it's cool to see the automotive space on YouTube continually growing, because it's the industry that I work in. So it's a benefit to everybody that I work with.
Yeah, and for you as well.
Yeah, that the space is growing, and it's cool to see all this really interesting content. The final person though that I've been watching recently, is a YouTuber called Sarah Dietschy. Her Twitter account always has a peach and then Ichi because it's Dietschy, pronounced like peachy.
Because I think you showed me how you spell it once, and I don't think you would pronounce it. I wouldn't pronounce it like that.
I think you probably end up pronouncing it like Dietschy or Dietsch. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, hopefully I pronounced it right. Maybe we'll get her on one day.
I've still not watched any of her videos though. What kind of content?
So she rose to fame, as it were, by kind of copying Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
But in a non.
It was really big on.
She wasn't copying it to become Casey Neistat and make videos in his style about her. It was more that she was showing her editing prowess by editing identical to Casey, doing all the same shots.
It was big on Reddit, wasn't it? I think it blew up on Reddit
because what she did is displayed her ability in editing and filming to make these really cool videos. But this one video was just like a parody with the boosted or penny board at the time. The camera on the Gorilla Pod. And with the whole drone shots and the cuts between, she's worked with Adobe recently.
Adobe,
kind of explaining their Creative Cloud programs and offering tutorials. So she's very clearly very intelligent and very good at editing. Her videos are just a bit different, and she kind of takes either vlogging or these tutorial videos in a slightly different way, and they're quite exciting. So it's really interesting though. But that gets me on to my next topic, which is kind of learning more about YouTube and I guess from our perspective, how we started creating videos, why we started creating videos, which we kind of already touched on, and what we would suggest others should do to start making content.
Yeah, but before we get into that, let's have one quick ad read.
This episode of the Dialed In podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/howitbecame. Patreon is an amazing platform which allows you, the audience, to directly help and support us, the creators, to continue to develop and build amazing content you love. To find out more about the perks we have available when you become a Patreon, please visit patreon.com/howitbecame. That's patreon.com/howitbecame.
So what is it we were going to talk about again?
Well, I think we should continue on based on Sarah Dietschy and her ability to kind of educate people via the Adobe Creative Cloud to create content and kind of discuss how we create content. So how do we kind of develop our content? Where do we start really? What is the basics of creating videos for YouTube?
Should we go in order, like how we started, and then sort of
let's start at inspiration, because like we said at the beginning of this, we watched a lot of content, and I think the first thing we did was try to emulate what we watched in the same way that Sarah Dietschy emulated Casey Neistat to highlight her editing ability. So
when was what was the turning point when you thought, right, I want to make content, this is what I want to be doing, I know I want to make videos? What was the point, what was the thing when you thought to yourself, right, this is what I've got to do to get started? Do you remember that?
I think it would have been watching montages, Call of Duty montages. I think we're in the same boat here. Watching Call of Duty montages was kind of the predecessor to commentary stuff, and going, I think I can get those kind of clips from the game, or I want to get those kind of clips. And then watching tutorial videos online of people showing you how to hook up a Dazzle, which was the pinnacle Dazzle PVR thing we had, which was a standard definition 480p, maybe even 360p recorder. And watching probably people in America, frankly, because they were kind of pioneering in this world, watching them, connecting up all the cables, going, I really want one of those.
Yeah, and I remember I used to watch so many tutorials of how to set the stuff up before I even had the stuff.
Yeah, I didn't even have any plans of having it, but it was interesting to see
how the other
after watching this content, kind of like how it's made. That kind of background insight, much like what How I Became kind of offers. That was how I started. Obviously watching other content, going, I really want to make that. How do I make that? Seeing how it all kind of plugs in and how it's recorded, and then also learning a bit more about the editing and like how people edit their videos. And I think back in the day there was a few like behind the scenes videos where like, this is how I edited my montage. And
it was quite hush hush though, wasn't it? Almost like people didn't want to give away their secrets or like the different, and when people eventually started to make tutorials on how to do things, it was just because they'd figured out a way to do it. It might not have been the exact method. No, it definitely.
I don't think anybody that, at least the tutorials that we watched, were any kind of anything official or anything correct. It was more that they'd, like you said, they'd found out a way to do something. We used to edit in Sony Vegas.
Sony Vegas Pro,
which we acquired a license for. I'll leave it at that.
A license, there was
maybe.
There was there was various ways to get hold of that software.
Yeah, but that was kind of weirdly the industry standard in this YouTube gaming world.
Yeah.
It's not a standard anywhere else.
Yeah.
In my professional world, I've never heard anybody even mutter the word Sony Vegas.
No, it's
Yeah,
just so clunky, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it.
But we learnt it because it's all we knew and it's all we watched.
And I think people used it because people who were making YouTube videos were young, didn't have a lot of money, couldn't afford to spend £400 on editing software.
Yeah.
And the only software that was quote unquote available,
Yes, accessible.
Downloadable.
Yeah.
was
Sony Vegas.
Yeah, Sony Vegas Pro 9. And I even remember the sound, the music from a particular thing you had to open to get that software to work.
Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you've ever
Mario-esque music.
if you've ever downloaded Sony Vegas Pro 9
or 10
and done it your own way,
yeah,
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and what we mean by that is putting obviously all of your payment details in and paying for the software,
getting a proper
license.
It was paying for it.
Arduous process.
Of course.
See, I think the first thing came from inspiration. Watching different styles of content, kind of identifying the content that we wanted to create.
Yeah.
Then it was begging our parents to either buy it for us or coming up with the money somehow, because we were still young. We were still 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I did, I remember this in a local town to me. I traded in a bunch of games at Game Station.
Yeah. Is Game Station still around?
No, it's not. It's bought by Game. Yeah. So I went to Game Station, traded in a bunch of games, got cash, and then I went to my nearest Maplins, which is a
electronic store,
like a Fry's in America or something like that.
Yeah.
And went and bought a £40 Dazzle.
Nice.
And that was it. I was ready to go with my £400 laptop I got for the Christmas before or something.
Yeah, it was all about if you. We really, really wanted to do it, so I remember waiting ages to get something and like thinking about all these ideas that I was going to do when I finally got it. And even when I actually got the stuff, I didn't know how to use it.
Oh no, I had no idea.
So then it would take me even longer to like figure out how to use it.
Plugging in all the we had to have like splitter cables, because obviously the signal had to go into the device.
Right, but that's what I did wrong.
Had to also come out into your screen, otherwise you wouldn't be able to play the game.
Mate, this is what the first time I tried to use it for like a week when I first had it. I could only play it off of the laptop screen recording because I didn't have the splitter cables.
That is
like 2 seconds behind in input.
Yeah.
So like I was playing these games, every action I did was 2 seconds behind, and then I eventually just like, right, you know what, screw this, I can't do this. I need to invest in some splitter cables.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was I actually really enjoyed doing that, like starting from scratch. And it was something so new as well that everyone was in the same boat trying to learn it.
All of us as friends were doing the same thing and watching the same tutorials and giving each other advice. And then, kind of the rest of the industry, a lot of the up-and-coming people, like, we started uploading YouTube videos at the same time that someone like KSI would have. He's been doing it for 8 years now and has 10+ million subscribers, so that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We started it around the same time, and nobody knew what they were doing, really. There was no set form. Like nowadays, if you want to become a vlogger, what do? Well, you go buy a Canon 70D, 80D, 60D, you buy the Rode video microphone, and you buy a Joby Gorilla Pod, and you have the Casey Neistat set up.
I think it goes two ways. Like, either if you want to be a vlogger, either you just know that you want to make content, so you start doing it on your phone, or if you've already got like that creative vision and you want to make high quality content, then you go for that camera route. Like, I
think it depends on your background.
Like one of our friends, he one of the guys we used to play Call of Duty with and all of that, he's got really into wanting to produce content, and obviously he knows that to make that really professional, clean content, he needs to have a camera. So he invested in the camera, the mic, the tripod, all of that. But for someone that just wants to vlog their everyday life and try and build a following, you don't need to do that. You can just get your iPhone 6 or iPhone, like whatever. Like,
I think back in the day when we first started making content, the lowest level, like the lowest common denominator, was a Dazzle. That was like the lowest you could go. There was a few YouTubers. There's a guy called Only Use Me Blade who used to have a recorder, and it would sit on top of
Blackmagic.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was a rubbish thing, and it would the video would like kind of flicker depending on the electricity going through it, because it was like bad quality. The current, but no, Dazzle was definitely like lowest common denominator, and today there's still a lowest common denominator. I think an iPhone 6, like you say, a HD 1080p phone, iPhone being kind of like the standard of I think mobile video quality.
I think one of the best things about trying to make content today is that if you have an iPhone, you can make anything because it's got iMovie built in nowadays. Yeah. It's got a good, like, decent microphone, and you can buy it for like 20 quid, a microphone that you plug in that does the job. You've got like 1080p recording.
Yeah,
good, like, that's
good enough.
Good dynamic range. Like, they're not just like whitewashed, you know what I mean? Like,
and good autofocus, which is key.
Really good autofocus as well. Like, pretty quick as well.
Yeah.
So like, if you're listening and you want to make vlogs, or you want to make, I don't know, like a family holiday trip or anything like that,
Yeah.
you don't need to go buy an expensive camera. You can just do it on your phone. And
Yeah, and I think there is, like I said, there is a lowest common denominator when it comes to equipment. Yeah, second time over. And for example, for this podcast, I think the lowest common denominator would be a standard like plug-in USB mic. I think if you did it with your laptop mic, it would be terrible. So there is a level of investment required, but the key really is beyond that level of investment is the ability to then go and make the content.
Yeah.
So it's not the action of pressing record. That bit's really easy. Like everybody knows how to press record. It's what you're doing and what you do once you press record. So you have, let's say, your iPhone 6 as a lowest common denominator. You've got the camera app open. You can press record at any second. But if you're sitting in your bedroom, it's not really interesting. Nobody's going to watch that. There's nothing really to record. So now you need to go find yourself in situations, if via your work or via your social life, in situations that are interesting. Some people were very lucky back in the day where they could start vlogs literally in their bedroom. That's how a lot of the lifestyle and beauty YouTubers came about. And now they have an audience that kind of accept that. But these days, don't expect to start your video just chatting to a camera about anything, because there's no real reason to watch your content.
And there's no distinction, from people who are always doing that.
You need to stand out from the crowd.
The thing is like, because lifestyle videos weren't exactly a thing, people who are making videos and vlogs like that instantly stood out because no one else was doing it.
Yeah, there was intrigue into someone else's life just because it was someone else's life.
Yeah, whereas now if you do that, so many other people have done that already that it's just boring. So you need to innovate. Yeah,
and definitely don't go too far and accidentally end up shooting your boyfriend for a book. There was that in the news recently.
And there was the thing about the parents that filmed the pranks on their kids. And
still sticks to social boundaries. Like, just because Jake Paul and Logan Paul are terrorizing their neighborhood, which we'll get to later, doesn't mean that that's the successful way to get to become YouTube famous, as it were.
And also, now that they've done that, now that Jake Paul and Logan Paul have done that, no one else will be able to do that, because they've done it literally to such an intense standard.
Yeah.
But if anyone tries to replicate it, one, it'll be obvious that they're trying to copy, and two, it'll be boring because everyone's seen it before. And there's only so long, I think, that these two can carry on dominating the vlog game, because eventually they're going to run out of stuff to do.
Yeah, and to go back to the basics, really, it's don't try and make content in a world that you don't either have a knowledge of, understanding, or enjoy. Because if you're going to start making, I don't know, beauty videos when you don't care about beauty or makeup, that kind of enthusiasm you would have in a topic will never come through. Like if me and George, back when we were gaming, started doing kind of daily vlog lifestyle videos, it would be boring because that's not what we cared about. We really enjoyed gaming.
No, we weren't into
that at all.
And
I was just going to continue. My final point is make things you've got the equipment, you're inspired by someone else, you've seen something you want to make in your head, then you have what you want to make, then you have to go and make it using that level of equipment that is acceptable and watchable. And there's a fantastic video that kind of hopefully helps people get through those beginning stages, called Nobody Tells This to the Beginners. It's a fantastic video. It's just a short animated thing, and really it just highlights kind of all of those thought processes you go through your head, and the stuff that literally people don't tell to beginners. Like, we're trying to give an insight here that none of your work's ever going to be perfect first time round. Don't expect to have to buy the highest level of equipment to make these standard videos. If you have good taste and you see a gap in the market and you have this enthusiasm, do it. And don't stop doing it until you become successful.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, with me doing my music and everything, I'd never been told that I was probably going to make loads of music that I thought was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And then that was a huge learning process for me, just sitting in my room behind my speakers, just being in there all day in the dark room, not wanting to go outside because I wanted to make music, but everything I was making was just coming out as a bit crap.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult when no one's told you about it before, that it's going to be crap at some point. Like, it is going to be crap. When you make your first YouTube video, the chances are it's going to be a bit shit unless you've done.
Yeah, you're never going to be happy with your first edit.
I'm never happy with anything I make. Like, there's a Facebook group I'm part of, and someone asked it was music producers, and someone asked a question in there saying, are you ever happy with the final tune you release? And all the comments, and there was like 200-300 comments, was no. Like, I've never been happy, because the thing is that if you've got high standards, that's a really good thing. Don't let that go. Don't just think, you know what, this will do.
Yeah,
because
nothing's ever good enough. But also, don't let that prevent you from uploading that content.
Yeah.
So, for example, I went on a commercial shoot recently with one of the YouTubers we work with. It was for a brand at a racetrack, and we made a video. There was a few issues throughout the day which we had to overcome, which we did. And that's another thing. Make sure you overcome issues. Don't just use that as a barrier and an excuse to stop. And we got all the footage we could. I got home. I started editing the video. And although this is probably one of the better videos this YouTuber will ever upload to their channel at the current time, it's also not.
It doesn't satisfy your standards.
It's not 100% of what when I had the video in my head. The video I ended up editing wasn't what I had in my head. And that's just simply because, not because I couldn't execute on the shot list that I'd made or the storyboard. That is all there, but it's just.
It's not quite right.
Yeah, I think it's hard to explain, but I think anybody listening that's had this experience will instantly connect with it. You're just like, yeah, but it's not what
I thought it was going to be.
My perfect execution version would have been like, and that happens to everyone. You have to get past that. We're still going to upload the video. We still have obligations to upload that video.
And you know what? I think we can go full circle and even say about this podcast, like, as we've been recording this, I've been conscious of little things that have, little noises that we've made, or background noises of a kid shouting in the next garden along or something like that. And at the end of the day, this is as good as we're going to get it for now, because we don't have a completely soundproof studio.
No, what we need to do after this is, we'll edit it, we'll listen to it, we'll make comments on background noise.
Don't get me wrong. We're not going to just finish it, bounce it, and then upload it.
Yeah, exactly.
You've still got to put in the effort, like this video editing, like. Even if it's not quite what you want, you can still try and make it to be the way you want it to be.
I've gone through, I think, 3 revisions now before I got to the point where I was personally happy with what I was able to create out of what we captured on the day. And obviously, if we captured more on the day and there were certain scenarios that played out better, then the content would have been maybe better, because I would able to add that into the edit. But I got to a point where I was like, oh, this isn't right. Like, there was one point, because we were using an external microphone, that the audio was out of sync. And it was out of sync by like 1 frame. So it wasn't much. But once the video was rendered and I was playing it back, I was like, I can see it, but that's only because I've watched the video 20 times now. I can see it, and because I can see it, I can't let anybody else watch this and potentially see that too, and then make that comment, or if it's the client, be disappointed in what we've created.
Yeah, 100%.
So you have to have high standards, and I think there's a struggle there of keeping this creativity, and this is something I think we need to talk about, because there's YouTubers nowadays that are making daily content, or have been making daily content, or weekly content even, and they're struggling with this creativity angle, always pushing yourself. There's a level where I think these people can't push themselves anymore, or want to push themselves in an angle that their audience isn't expecting, ready for, whatever, however you want to kind of describe it.
And I think it's especially difficult in on a website like YouTube and SoundCloud and these kind of things where you get direct, constant feedback.
Yeah,
because
everybody's already telling you what you should have done better.
Yeah, people hardly offer constructive criticism or even positive comments, unless you're really lucky and you've got an audience like that. Usually it's, this is crap, don't like this part.
Yeah.
There was someone smacked the microphone at this point. Oh, it's out of sync here. Why is there a frame? Do you know what I mean? Like, people don't look at the positives. They always think, right, how it could have been better, which goes 2 ways, because obviously that's motivating for yourself, because you're like, right, okay, yeah, I need to make my next video even better. But it gets to a point when, you're nailing all of that stuff, and then the criticism just comes down to the actual content that's being made.
Yeah.
So then it gets really difficult. Like, we see a lot of YouTubers like Joe Weller, KSI, just to name a couple. Who else is there? There's a couple more, isn't there?
Yeah, there's been a few people that have, either taken a break. So KSI took a break recently for a good few months, where he was making his traditional gaming content and also making the music, and he just didn't want to make the gaming content anymore. That wasn't him. Like we said earlier, he started at 16. He's been doing this for 8 years. He's 24 now. His content is completely different, and some of his audience understand that, and they've grown up too. But a lot of his audience are still younger and still expecting these comedic, funny gaming videos.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy, and I think like if you're going to start a YouTube channel or anything like that, like, don't be scared about that, because this only happens particularly to those YouTubers that have a big audience and care about the content. And like when I remember when I used to first make Call of Duty videos, people would comment and say like, your mic's peaking here, frame, you know what I mean, like you accidentally cut a bit out here, or I wouldn't do a smooth ending, people wouldn't like that. And then I'd read the comments and think, right, okay, next video I'll fix that, and I would fix it.
Yeah.
And then it's a constant process of learning. And but for those bigger YouTubers, it must be so difficult. I can't even imagine.
Because we didn't have pressure from a lot. We would have our friends tell us whether videos were good or bad, or whether things could be improved, and we would have very few amount of comments, maybe 5 or 6 comments being like, oh, you should change this, you should change that. But KSI's got tens of thousands of people. Joe Weller's got tens of thousands of people. He put up a new
video earlier on. Sorry to interrupt. He put up a new video about his first video back with him talking in it, and within an hour, and I mean literally an hour, it had 500,000 plays, which is ridiculous. And most of those people would, well, not most, but there's definitely some. Is there negative comments on there? Pat's looking now. He's got it up.
It's got. So I don't know how long it's been now. Probably, let's say 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's got 1.3 million views, 281,000 likes, and 4,300 dislikes. So there's 4,000 people that dislike this content in some way,
and
assuming that that's a fair representation.
It's very easy to dislike a video, but when someone dislikes your own video, that is a gutting feeling, like when someone's watched a video that you've spent hours and hours creating, and you've had all of this thought process, and you put it out, and then someone just smacks that thumbs down button, you're like, Christ.
And I think with the KSI and Joe Weller, they're both in the same boat where they're making certain content. I think Joe Weller spoke about this on the True Geordie podcast recently, that he was creating videos that he wasn't proud about, and he didn't want to show to anybody else, because Joe Weller would frequently show his content to family or friends, who would then kind of review the videos before they go live to give input and kind of give it with a fresh pair of eyes. Because again, like, me, for example, me editing the video that I did recently, I got warped by editing it and looking at it so many times. I had to have someone else watch it to give me their thoughts. Yeah. Like, I showed you a short clip as well, didn't I?
I think it's really important that you do that. I think it's important that you get other people's opinions, because as much as you have to believe in yourself, you can't be cocky at the same time. Like, people will, if you show the right people, they will be brutally honest and they will tell you what.
Yeah.
Like when I was at university, I used to make music in my room, and people in the rooms around me, I would say to them, because they were into the kind of music, they weren't like producers or anything, but they used to, they had favourite tracks in the same style. Yeah. And I'd say, listen, come in here, listen to this, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. And I remember one of the things our friend Matt said to me was, he prefers the tunes that are a bit more bouncy, a bit more upbeat, rather than the sort of low aggressive tunes. So now whenever I'm making music, that's still consciously in the back of my head thinking, right, he liked it to be a bit more bouncy. And you shouldn't make it, you should obviously please your own goals first, but it's important to take in that criticism and
I think a lot of people, I definitely block out, I'll have someone watch a video that I've made, and if maybe I feel that they don't have maybe necessarily, how do I word this, like if I show someone my video, let's say my parents, they have no video editing ability, they have nothing, they're going to give a certain perspective that I may not necessarily take on board as directly than if I asked you, who's made content before and understands how it works. So you've got to take on board criticism for sure, and you've just got to work out how much of that criticism or modifications you may then add into a video that still keep it yours and keeps it your vision, but makes it better, objectively better, and also kind of in a personal sense better in the way that it's produced. But yeah, these YouTubers like KSI and Joe Weller, it's a huge struggle to keep being creative, keep being motivated, especially if your audience is kind of pushing back on what you feel is the content you should be making. And when you try and make new content, them being negative about that and wanting you to go back to maybe content you're not happy with creating anymore must be really difficult. And they're taking breaks, like they're not just taking breaks from making a certain type of content, they're disappearing off the internet. KSI disappeared off the internet for 4 months? Like completely dead off every social media.
You need that time to go and just do what you want to do again, like not do, like making content when you've got a lot of people watching and waiting for your videos is hard. Like, I think it's very easy for people to be like, oh my God, you've got such an easy job, you're a YouTuber. But it's like being a television producer, like that's not easy.
Well, it's like being a cameraman, a producer, an editor, a presenter. Like they are, a lot of these YouTubers, Joe Weller, for example, he was again discussing on the True Geordie podcast that he does everything. He does the filming, the editing, all of the creative aspects, and he gets input from friends and family once it's edited, but he's making all of those decisions, and he's on his own. You don't have a writer or a co-writer or a producer that can help you push for new content, push for new ideas. You have to do it all yourself, and if you have one creative block somewhere along the lines, that prevents you from then editing another video maybe because you're feeling that this isn't the content you want to make, or this isn't how you want to make it. But it is their job, and I think there's an argument to be made that, you know, they do have to kind of please their audience, because that's how they get viewership. If your audience don't like your content, they're not going to watch it.
Yeah, and you know, it's something that I really sort of have started to notice in myself in the past couple of months, is that, you know, when you're younger and your parents tell you things, they say don't do this because this will happen, or they say don't do this because this, whatever, you think, whatever.
Yeah, you brush it off.
Yeah, you don't think about it. And then obviously now that I'm 21, almost like turning 22 in the next 6 months or so, like I've actually I look back to what they said and I think, oh my god, I get it now. And the same thing. I
think you have to learn through experience.
Yeah,
I think that's the key thing.
That's what I was going to say. The same thing goes to when I listen to that podcast with YouTubers, and they talk about their struggles, and they talk about like creative process and creative blocks and all of this stuff. And I used to listen to it and not get it.
Yeah.
But now I actually am a creator, and I have to create constant good content. You understand what they talk about in these podcasts. It's
very easy to sit from afar and go, I can make a video every week. It'll be easy.
Yeah.
You know, and I've made lists for other YouTubers that I work with when they've struggled to come up with, you know, weekly content, and be like, here's 4 months worth of content of ideas that I just come up with really easily. But what I forget, and what obviously is then instilled into me by working with these people every day, is that it's very easy to come up with a base idea. Like coming up with this podcast, really easy. Well, I said to George was about a month ago or so now?
Yeah, it was a month ago, yeah.
We were like, oh, we should do a podcast. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But that was the really easy bit.
Yeah.
You know, then I had to go and invest money into a microphone. George already had one. I copied him and got the same microphone, so we have equal quality of audio. Yep. And then it was like, okay, well, now that we have the microphones, where are we doing it? So we found a place to do it. And then after finding a place to do it, it was like, okay, well, what are we going to talk about? What is it called? How is it formatted?
Yeah, and then we've had like 2 test runs already of, you know, just getting used to talking to each other in an environment like this, and
because we chat to each other, you know, maybe 3 or 4 times a week in the evening, but that's chat, that's banter, that's like chatting in the pub. You know, you don't chat in a pub and you don't start with topics. You don't go, all right, Gary, so today we're going to talk about the kind of Theresa May and Brexit and how that's kind of affecting our lives. What have you been doing at work this week, Gary? That's not how conversations really work. So
it's a different kind of conversation, isn't it? Podcast, it's a whole different ballgame. But and I think we're lucky because we both listen to a lot of podcasts. So
we have a lot of inspiration, and you'll probably hear that from the way that we present things, the way that we do ad reads, the way that we maybe inflect our voices, and the way that we kind of discuss with each other.
The way that we inflect.
Yeah, and also the way that maybe we will edit this podcast. I think George will be sharing the majority of the editing. I'll be doing a CGP grey and doing a look over on the edit, as it were. Yeah,
and I think, you know, at some point I'd like to also open up this process of making a podcast to the audience as well. Like, the channel How I Became is here to show our progress in our creative content, but also help others and the people who are watching learn from them as well.
It's to give insight and educate people. Really,
I think I'd like it if at some point in the future, when this podcast gets to a nice high quality standard, that we can almost film sort of tidbits of us making the podcast, show how we do it, show the setup, because people want to know. And I was dying to know all this stuff when I wanted to get into creating content, so it would be nice to be able to show people as well, you know, what software we use, what mics it is, how we split the audio to record 2 channels in one, you know, all these different things. I think I'd really, you know, like to give back as well. It's
really cool, and I think that's definitely where we're going to take this, is kind of giving insight. That's how I Became works, and that's kind of what we're all about here, is providing education, but also insight. You know, you don't have to necessarily be directly educated by some of the content we do, but it's more that you understand other people's positions, because everybody makes content differently. You know, you've got these new YouTubers now, the kind of likes of Logan Paul, Jake Paul and stuff like that have come across from other social media platforms, from Vine, and they make their content in a completely different way. Now, we'll get into maybe why that isn't necessarily all good, but you know, nobody necessarily taught Jake or Logan Paul how they make or edit their videos. Their videos are very high energy. They're very cut very harshly, but it creates for this like short, snappy, fun thing that engages a younger audience. And you know, that wasn't necessarily something that they were taught, but more that they came up with themselves.
You know what? Should we get into that now?
Okay.
Because you know, there's a lot to talk about there, and they're just the content they produce obviously is so intuitive and new and different, and I understand. I think it comes from their Vines, right? So if we go back to where quick, short, people snappy, Logan Paul, for anybody who doesn't know, is probably 23, 24 maybe, and he started on Vine making these short 6-second clips,
of kind of unique, funny, comical content that kind of blew up. He was gaining millions of followers from it. Vine recently, I guess in the last 6 months or so, kind of shut down, and from that, a lot of Viners, so Amanda Cerny, Lele Pons, Logan Paul, and now Logan's brother Jake Paul, kind of jumped ship onto other social media platforms, be it Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And now the new one that they've kind of been taking over, as it were, is YouTube.
It's not even taking over; they have taken over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are top of the. They are top.
Yeah, they're
of the
not taking over.
game, yeah.
They already are. I mean, let's look at Jake Paul. I think that'll be the one we discuss because he has as many pros as he does cons at the moment. Out of that kind of world,
there's been a lot of controversy.
He's gained 8.5 million subscribers in 9 months from uploading daily content. And that's absurd. That's a level of growth unheard of. PewDiePie at his peak was gaining 1 million subscribers a month, but he already had 30 or 40 million.
8 million in 9 months.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
400 million views a month on his content.
That
each
is
video
crazy.
he does daily videos, and each one of them gets 5 to 10 million views.
That's got to be more than a TV series gets.
For sure. Well, if you think take a big TV show, maybe they're getting 10 million views an episode. They're getting 5 million views a day.
Yeah, that's
and these episodes,
so
there's
silly.
four a month because they're weekly. Whereas with Jake's vlogs, there's probably 20 to 30, depending on if he actually does it every single day.
Yeah, it's every day, bro.
Yeah, and he's kind of revolutionized his space. I wouldn't call it the space because there is so many different YouTubers with so many different angles on content. He's not taking over the beauty space or the gaming space, but he is taking over this kind of lifestyle space, this vlogging world,
which is the most relatable space because everyone does everyday things. You know what I mean? So it's like beauty and automotive. They're specifically for people who are interested in a certain thing, but just lifestyle. Everyone wants to have a nice life and a fancy car and a big house in America, and he's got all of that, doesn't he? So people love to. It's almost.
But his neighbours aren't very happy with his lifestyle, though, are they?
There's been some massive antics recently.
Yeah. So Jake Paul's content, to give a little context, he makes these daily vlogs, which are really, like I said, same as Logan Paul, really high energy, really high kind of focus on engagement and kind of like crazy things happening. And what's really crazy is he's kind of become this new level of celebrity. We remember back in the day people like Jack's Gap, which is a YouTube channel that anybody doesn't know, a few million subscribers, 2 young guys, twin brothers, and they made some kind of cool, fun, high quality content that again attracted kind of a younger audience. Jake Paul is, that times 100. The reach they get. The screaming young girls. They recently released their address. They have an overall overriding company across 10 YouTube channels that Jake kind of works with called Team 10, and they announced the Team 10 house's address. And you can go and look on like Google Businesses, and it's right there. And this is just a residential house, residential street with, I think we were watching a few videos earlier together of some news reports from the area. It's just doctors and surgeons, a nice, middle class neighborhood.
Yeah.
But
and now him.
Yeah, he's there, and that's not a problem. Nobody has a problem with someone like him being there, an entertainer. The problem is he's publicly made their address available, and now much like the Beatles or Justin Bieber or people like that, there's people waiting outside his house
constantly
for him, like all day, every day, for him to kind of come outside so they can say hello and get that picture or something.
Yeah, and it's not like just like a wide range of people. Like it's not like some adults, some teenagers. It's all 10 to 15-year-old girls.
Yeah, his audience is
and their mums.
The majority.
Yeah, just
children
waiting by the car.
And everybody else on the street is families who want to have a normal family life in LA with whatever profession they have. And so the local news got involved. Was it the K5? I can't remember what it's called.
KW5 News.
That's the one. Yeah, there you go. You
is actually that?
Something like that. Yeah. Probably sounds right. The way you inflected it sounded like it was a news station. So a local news station ran a story that all of the neighbours were relatively annoyed by Jake's antics. At one point, they were burning a massive fire using a bunch of garden furniture in their pool.
That. What are they thinking?
With fire that was apparently higher than the house, and they filmed it all. Of course, it was in their daily vlogs.
Is that not something that's illegal? Doing something like that.
I wouldn't.
Also,
I wouldn't
imagine
know.
the landlords.
Dangerous.
Imagine the landlords.
Yeah, because so the house is rented. They don't own it, and obviously, LA, Los Angeles, that area is known for their wildfires because it gets so dry in the summer. Really crazy situation. And then the most recent thing he's got into trouble for was Jake Paul recorded him delivering Post Malone's, who's a musician, Austin Post, his merchandise that he bought for a joke with H3 Productions. And he recorded his house, kind of gave away his address, effectively doxed him in a kind of more convoluted way. And that was a breach of privacy. the merch was obviously bought through a third party, so Jake having direct access and utilizing his address in that way isn't something that he should have done.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal, isn't it? That's straight up illegal.
It's illegal, or at least broke the terms and conditions of the contract you agree when you purchase something on an online store like that. But I guess, George, do you want to give a background on who H3H3 are and Post Malone, and kind of why this is an issue?
Oh yeah, so H3H3, I'm pretty sure most people know who they are by now, but they're massive sort of. It's Ethan and Ela Klein, and they make these comedy videos, satirical videos. And it's almost like a meme page, but it's also not. It's also serious, but that they're very, very funny guys. And Post Malone is a professional musician, and they're good mates. They've been on the podcast, but Post Malone's been on the H3H3 podcast a couple of times. Really nice guy. They get on really well. And Ethan and Ela like to mimic and mock the big sort of trends in YouTube, and not just like the biggest trends, but like the stupid stuff, like the stuff that shouldn't really be going on.
Yeah.
And they're almost like justice warriors on the internet, but in like a funny way.
Yeah.
They don't take themselves seriously at all. And they are just hilarious. So the fact that Jake Paul has gone to Post Malone's house.
Yeah, so I guess the connection between H3H3 and Post Malone is they're friends. And on one of the H3H3 recent podcasts where Post Malone was present, they listened to Jake Paul's song. It's called Everyday Bro.
It's Everyday Bro.
Yeah. So they listened to his song, and obviously Posty or Austin or whatever you want to call him.
Austin,
as a platinum artist who's got hundreds of millions of views and very respected in the world, working with people the likes of Justin Bieber. He was obviously
very good.
He was quite critical of the song because it isn't objectively a very good song. It performed well online, but yes, George can attest to this. It's not very good.
It's terrible.
So although it's performed well online to his audience, it isn't objectively a very good song that you would maybe buy in the charts or listen to on Spotify. So he had word to say about that. He was intrigued to watch the video, gave his thoughts on it. They were pretty negative, and H3H3 and Post Malone both joking about Jake Paul and the crazy things they were doing. So Post Malone bought merchandise as a joke, an in-joke with H3H3, which they were going to apparently wear in a future video. And Jake Paul, I think, maybe took that the wrong way.
Yeah, didn't get the joke,
that maybe Post Malone loved them or something.
He tweeted a picture, didn't he? Post Malone tweeted a picture of his receipt of the purchase, being like,
apologies. Ela Kleiners or something.
Like sarcastically.
Yeah,
and then obviously Jake Paul's got the wrong end of the stick.
Took that into his own hands, hand delivered the items, which maybe you would be fine with if it was maybe for a fan and there was a competition, or it was set up in a way that wasn't necessarily so invasive. But no, they turned up to his house unannounced, revealed where he lives by showing his full front of his house, Google Street View style, the cars in his drive, the number plates on the cars. The only thing they did blur out was the number on the house, but I mean, showing the whole neighborhood, it will become pretty obvious. Internet warriors will find it very easily, and you could see that Post Malone wasn't prepared for this. When they opened the door, he wasn't wearing trousers. They kind of weren't expecting this. They got permission to kind of vlog in the scenario, but they also had like a secret cameraman who was kind of hiding back in the car that was filming before they even asked for permission to vlog.
Just so sneaky, isn't it? Like,
yeah, and then they have the cheek to kind of confront him, and even though they've gone to his house on his time, on his property, to go up and say, why didn't you like our song, in a way that almost, they were expecting him to be like, oh no, it was great. But you could tell Post Malone was relatively, peeved by this encounter. And then again, to have the cheek to ask him if they want to do a verse on the song, which Post Malone replies to saying that, if him and H3H3 can share a verse, which is very clearly, again, a joke. It's sarcastic, sorry. But no, Jake Paul goes back to his car, kind of ignorance is bliss, and is like, oh, he's going to do a verse on my song. So I think, people like Jake Paul, they're very young. He's 20, so he's younger than us, which is scary.
And you know what? It's fair play to them. They're doing something different. They're doing something new.
And they're earning millions of pounds a month from it.
They are, and you know what? It's sad because they are going to ruin. They're not going to. I can't say that, but they could ruin the reputation of YouTube very easily.
Yeah.
Like if they set a negative image of YouTubers and what happens if young people get famous on the internet. Yeah. Like they could ruin it for everyone else because. Fact that
we've seen that to a degree. I can't imagine what would have happened if the Wall Street Journal had picked on Jake Paul rather than PewDiePie in terms of this adpocalypse and promoting brands being placed, adverts being placed in front of kind of sketchy or maybe perceived like kind of wrong content.
And that's, again, what the thing is, right? Internet comedy and internet content is very much in jokes, in that if you don't watch it, you don't get it. And so PewDiePie, obviously, making Nazi jokes is one of the things that happened like last year. Yeah, you shouldn't make Nazi jokes, but at the same time, but
in the context of that video,
yeah, it was comedy. It didn't.
He was making light of Nazi jokes by making Nazi jokes. Like the prior part to that video that was never shown was.
What's that called when you do something like it's like I can't think of it right now.
I don't know. But we do that all the time as well. Like it's kind of like literal humor where it's just like the thing you're not going to make a joke about is the thing you make a joke about because then it becomes funny and it's not serious. Like, if you're talking about a certain race or a certain religion or something,
you see it all the time.
The way to break that, and the way that a lot of comedians do that, is directly address it, because it breaks their ice. There's no awkwardness.
Breaks down that barrier. 100%.
And it's very clear that you're not specifically being rude to a certain person. You're making light of a situation to keep everybody's 100%. Relaxed.
And that's what PewDiePie was. People, it's very easy for someone that doesn't watch his videos to watch it and be like, oh my God, what is going on? I can't believe he's made a joke about that. But actually, what he's actually making a joke about is the fact that people are so serious about it and the jokes aren't made about it. I don't know. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely, again, final time I think I'll say this now, but there's definitely another episode here where we kind of delve into this adpocalypse, kind of how it's happened, why it's happened, and how it's affected, and maybe get on a YouTuber that it has affected and discuss with them kind of like what this means for their channel, for their livelihood, because I think a lot of people are being directly affected and some people are indirectly affected by lower revenue and thus lower advertisements, lower sponsorships, because this is, like we said at the beginning, this has become a career, this has become a job, and I think the
whole game has changed.
Yeah, for someone like the Wall Street Journal to potentially be kind of playing on this and making these posts that may or may not be true, making these kind of website posts or within their newspaper itself, is a very dangerous game to play.
Because they're very powerful, websites like that.
Hugely powerful.
And if you don't
big brands respect them more based on their past than YouTubers, because YouTubers is something that has garnered a lot of industry respect. I think a lot of people dislike YouTube because it threatens traditional media. But yeah, we'll get into that in a different podcast. I think for now, it's been great to kind of introduce who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and talk about the Dialed In podcast. Hopefully you understand the name. It's kind of dialing in exactly certain topics, if it being the adpocalypse, if it being how to start making YouTube videos, if it being about certain YouTubers, and then how I became is discussing directly about how someone became who they are.
I mean, it's been fantastic to do the podcast, and I hope you're looking forward to hearing from us again. We're going to try and do this as a weekly thing, aren't we?
I think so. I think that's the aim.
Obviously, we're both really busy and we're both doing a lot, but we both want this a lot, and we both want to be making content again. So you can expect this to come out sort of the same-ish time every week. And
I think we want to time these alongside interviews. So maybe if we don't have an interview for a bit, we maybe push a podcast, but we want to keep it relevant. We want to keep up with kind of the latest stories, such as the Jake Paul doxing Post Malone content, which only came out yesterday at the time of recording. And get insights from different YouTubers. We can give our own personal insights, but like George says, we're both only 21 turning 22, so we don't have a huge amount of insight. And there's other YouTubers out there who are 21, 22 who's been doing this as a professional for 5 or 6 years. I work with a few of them, and they can give their own insight. So I think it's going to be really exciting time to come. More interviews, more podcasts, more content full stop, and hopefully you guys are kind of educated and given an insight from this content.
And also, if you've listened to the podcast, you've enjoyed it, but you think, I wish they'd mentioned this, or I'd love to know what they think about this, just leave a comment on the YouTube channel.
Any guest suggestions, any podcast topics, any video topics even. I mean, I've obviously got my standard list of questions I'll ask when I interview, but maybe there's some more that you come up with. Maybe there's an angle you want to learn about. So let us know.
Let us know. We'll be more than willing to sort of divulge and look into stuff and get on your favorite guests and ask them the questions that you want to know. We've got loads and loads of possible angles that we can take the channel. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. It's the first time really that we're going to be putting out something as long form as this. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm George again, don't forget, and Patrick over there.
Yep, my name is Patrick. You hopefully have seen me before. If not, you've heard about me for a very long time now, at least over an hour, I think, at this point. But before you go, I just wanted to say this episode of the Dialed In podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/howibecame. Patreon is an amazing platform which allows you, the audience, to directly help and support us, the creators, to continue to develop and build content you love. To find out more about the perks we have available when you become a patron, please visit patreon.com/howibecame. That's patreon.com/howibecame.